Forest products critical to fight hunger, including insects. New study highlights role of insects for food and feed consumption. Rome, 13th May 2013. Forests, trees on farms and agroforestry are critical in the fight against hunger and should be better integrated into food society and land use policies. FAO Director General José Graziano da Silva said today at the International Conference on Forests for Food Security and Nutrition in Rome. Forests contribute to the livelihood of more than 1 billion people, including many of the world's neediest. Forests provide food, fuel for cooking, fodder for animal, and income to buy food, Graziano da Silva said. Wild animals and insects are often the main protein source for people in forest areas, while leaves, seeds, mushrooms, honey, and fruits provide minerals and vitamins, thus ensuring a nutritious diet. But forests and agroforestry systems are rarely considered in food security and land use policies. Often, rural people do not have secure access rights to forests and trees, putting their food security in danger. The important contributions forests can make to the food security and nutrition of rural people should be better recognized, Graziano da Silva said. Feathered critters, wild and farm-raised insects. One major and readily available source of nutrition and protein-rich food that comes from forests are insects. According to a new study FAO launched at the Forests for Food Security and Nutrition Conference, it is estimated that insects form part of the traditional diets of at least 2 billion people. Insects gathering and farming can offer employment and cash income, for now mostly at the household level, but also potentially in industrial operations. An astounding array of creatures. With about 1 million known species, insects account for more than half of all living organisms classified so far on the planet. According to FAO's research, done in partnership with Wageningen University in the Netherlands, more than 1,900 insect species are consumed by humans worldwide. Globally, the most consumed insects are beetles, 31%, caterpillars, 18%, bees, wasps, and ants, 14%, and grasshoppers, locusts, and crickets, 13%. Many insects are rich in protein and good fats and high in calcium, iron, and zinc. Beef has an iron content of 6 mg per 100 gram of dry weight, while the iron content of locust varies between 8 and 20 mg per 100 gram of dry weight, depending on the species and the kind of food they are consuming themselves consume. First steps for the squeamish. We are not saying that people should be eating bugs, said Eva Muller, of the FAO's Forest Economic Policy and Products Division, which co-authored Edible Insects: Future Prospects for Food and Feed Security. We are saying that insects are just one resource provided by forests, and insects are pretty much untapped for their potential for food and especially for feed, Muller explained. Farming insects sustainably could help avoid overharvesting which could affect more prized species. Some species, such as worms, are already produced at commercial levels, since they're used in niche markets such as pet food for zoos and recreational fishing. If production were to be further automated, this would eventually bring costs down to a level where industry would profit from substituting fish meal, for example, with insect meal and livestock feed. The advantage would be an increase in fish supplies available for human consumption. Bugs get bigger or less. Because they are cold-blooded, insects don't use energy from feed to maintain body temperature. On average, insects use just 2 kilograms of feed to produce 1 kilo of insect meat. Cattle, at the other end of the spectrum, require 8 kilograms of feed to produce 1 kilogram of beef. In addition, insects produce a fraction of emissions such as methane, ammonia, climate warming, greenhouse gases, and manure, of all of which contaminate the environment. In fact, insects can be used to break down waste, assisting in the composting process that deliver nutrients back to the soil while also diminishing foul odors. Mhm. Enabling policies lacking. However, legislation in most industrialized nations forbids the actual feeding of waste materials and slurry or swill to animals, even though this would be the material that insects normally feed on. Further research would be necessary, especially as regards the raising of insects on waste streams. But it is widely understood by scientists that insects are so biologically different from mammals that it is highly unlikely that insects' diseases could be transmitted to humans. Regulations often also bar using insects in food for human consumption, although with a growing number of novel food stores and restaurants cropping up in developing countries, it seems to be largely tolerated. As with other types of food, hygienic production, processing, and food preparation will be important to avoid the growth of bacteria and other microorganisms that could affect human health. Food safety standards can be expanded to include insects and insect-based products and quality control standards. Standards along the production chain will be key to creating consumer confidence in feed and food containing insects or derived from insects. The private sector is ready to invest in insect farming. "We have huge opportunities before us," said Paul Vantom, one of the authors of the report. "But until there is clarity in the legal sphere, no major business is going to take the risk to invent funds when the laws remains unclear or actually hinders development of this new sector," he explained.